Hey guys, it's Tootsie, and I'm back with my middle school experience video. Now, in my last video, I talked about elementary school and how I was in special ed classes, and so I wasn't in history or science classes. So, let's get into going into middle school. Now, middle school was very surprising to me. It's like we had a homeroom class, but we were only there for 20 minutes, and it was mainly just to check in for the day. And while they did the announcements and stuff, it's like every class we had to go to a different end of the school, and it was so confusing because I was a slow walker, and in my middle school we could not carry bags, backpacks, purses, nothing. We couldn't carry any bags whatsoever. We couldn't have the teeniest little bit of a bag. We could not have bags whatsoever, and we had 4 minutes to get to class. 4 minutes. We had a 1 minute warning. And they said that's plenty of time to go to your locker, get your stuff you need for the next class, and go to the bathroom and get to class. When it takes like about 6-7 minutes to walk from one end to the other end. Because I timed myself without stopping how long it took me to walk one end to the other, and it took me 7 minutes. And I wasn't like, and I was a little bit of a slow walker, but it's kind of hard because there's so many kids in the school, and you're like this, and you're kind of trying to get through, you know. And so it was really difficult because it was so hard that I had to carry all this stuff with me, and I couldn't, like, you know, it's not like elementary school where we have a desk or we can keep all our stuff in it, you know, and then, you know, only take what we need and then we can go back, get it, and we had plenty of time to do that in elementary school. But in middle school, you know, we were all over the place, and so it was really difficult. And so, and also, and excuse me, I think I'm going to sneeze. Okay, it went away. And so, where was I? Lost my train of thought. Okay, back to talking about how, like, in elementary school when I was taking and assigned English classes, when I had to take those classes in middle school, if I could talk, they expected me to know things, and I didn't know certain things. It was like, I never learned that. It says, didn't you learn that in elementary school? The teacher would say, I'm like, no, I wasn't in history classes. I wasn't in science. I was in special ed. They told me to leave and go to special ed and stuff, and then I learned about reading. And so the teachers, it was very difficult for them with me because I didn't learn any of that stuff. And so I was like, everyone like already learned all this stuff, and I didn't learn any, so I'm like way behind here, and they're trying to teach stuff, and I'm like not knowing what's going on and stuff. And so that was really difficult, like me learning that. And so it was really difficult, you know, in those classes because I didn't know much. And in elementary school, in 3rd grade, when we learned about times tables, when we learned about, you know, more multiple digit time tables, I learned the lattice way. Most of you who are listening probably don't know what lattice is. It's kind of like a box-like thing. It's complicated. Maybe you can look it up on Google. It's so different than the traditional way. I never learned the traditional way in elementary school. And so when I got to middle school, my original math teacher, she was kind of young. She was new. So she heard of lattice, but she never really knew how to do it. And she was okay with me doing that way, you know, as long as I'm getting the answer correctly. She didn't care how we did it. But there were a lot of kids struggling, and her and this other teacher like communicated with one another, and they decided, and they learned that there are some kids that know this and some kids that don't know this, and so decided to test us. And of course, me, not good at testing, kept in lowest stream mean things in elementary school. I didn't know advanced stuff, more advanced stuff, so I was put in the lowest stream class, so my original math teacher, who was my homeroom teacher, she was a wonderful lady, I loved her, I was no longer in her class. I had to go to the other one she communicated with, teacher who's been there for a very long time, and she never heard of the lattice way. She did not like that way. She wanted us to do it the way she should teach students. She wanted us to do it her way. She wanted us to do the math her way. This is the way I'm teaching you. This is the way you have to do it. This is how you solve the problem. This is how you do it. And I strongly dislike that, because to me, with math, there's more than one way to solve a problem. And even in life, there's more than one way to solve a problem. And so I don't find it right where you have to do with one thing a certain way. I figure like you should teach several ways how to do it and have the student pick which way is best for them and which way is best they understand it. And so, but it wasn't like that. We had to do it this way. And so it was really difficult because I didn't learn the way things, like she would show how to solve something that maybe we learned in middle school and I learned it this way, and she's going and talking about this way. And I'm like, what are you doing? I don't know what you're doing here. And I was like, and even my special ed helper, that like when you're in special ed, there's usually like a helper teacher where they are specifically trained to help special ed students. I had them in elementary school and I had one in middle school, which I actually like. I like the help from them, but then it would define you as different, because every day you'll be working with this person. Kids are going to notice, and kids are going to see you different, and they think that you're getting it easy, that they're telling you the answers, which they're not. You have to solve it. And so that also was difficult socially because, you know, in middle school, everyone goes in their little cliques, and at least people think that that's high school. Mine, it was middle school. Everyone had to go in a clique. It was all about image. It was all about who's the best. It was all about this. It was all about, like, some people are trying to date and getting their first kiss and all that stuff. And so it was a very hard sociable time for me at the time because I didn't really know who was my friends and who wasn't. And so, and the people I thought were my friends, they were no longer my friends because I didn't have that friend time anymore, like I talked about in my elementary school experience where I got to have a little friend time. And so I was even told by some of them, says we were nice to you because we wanted to have that friend time with you so we could get out of our class, which was very rude and very sad and very shocking to me in middle school, you know. So I was messed up socially, and so trying to learn as well with all that going on was hard. And my helper teacher in middle school, she was, I don't want to say old, but she was older. So, you know, she didn't know the newer ways of solving the, like, stuff. Like, if you have, like, really older parents, a lot of things they had to learn was doing it in your head. But now, like, school is starting to, they want you to show your work. They want to show you how you show your answer. And I'm a very visual learner. I want to see exactly what everything is going on. And, like, with those teachers in middle school, it was like, no, you got to do it in your head. And I was like, I don't want to, like, you're showing too much, and I have to see what I'm doing. And so I couldn't do that because they were like, you gotta do this in your head. And they would tell me, oh, it's easy, it's easy, it's easy, you do this and you do that. And it was like, especially learning about fractions. I absolutely, and still this day, dislike fractions. Even though I'm a very good cook, I usually don't measure that much. I usually think, that looks about right. And so, and with, like, cooking and stuff, it's like, okay, half a cup, okay, there you halfway up, half a cup. Like, I can define them, but it's like adding, subtracting, and timesing, and dividing fractions. I disliked it, you know, especially like when the bottom number is different. You know, you have to, like, think of a way, okay, what both numbers fit into what do they both fit into, and it's just, you had to do that in your head, and it was just complicated. Okay, you know, Andy, look at the bottom numbers, what's the one number that what's the lowest, what is the smallest number they can both fit into evenly, and it was just like, I don't know, and it was just like, I just can't, like, think of it at the top of my head, and they were expecting me to, and like, that's what you're supposed to do, man, like, you know, you gotta do that, that's what you're supposed to do, and I was like, I couldn't do that in my head. So math was a struggle, which normally in elementary school I liked math because it had nothing to do with spelling or reading, you know, except for like, you know, reading problems, which I disliked. And so, you know, middle school, I'm doing a lot of complaining about middle school because middle school was probably the hardest time for me, especially in 6th grade. It was probably the hardest time for me at that point. And like with my friend making, I had several friends in 6th grade, but then once I got to 7th grade, they've made friends with some other kids, and they got into that anime stuff, that's backwood books and stuff, and I was not allowed to get into that. Specific family reasons, they did not like that sort of stuff. It's not that I know it's like not bad, it's that it's what my family thought. It's like a few adults in my family thought that it was mainly about, you know, inappropriateness, intimacy stuff, which there are some that are. I know there are, because I did have one friend in 7th grade who did have a book where 2 of the characters, you know, were very intimate, and so that's what my family didn't want me getting into at that time. I felt like I was a little young, like I should like learn about it, but not like for knowledge standpoint, but not read about it. And so, and with my friends, since they made friends with other people, those other people, they didn't know who I was, and so they were like, who are you? Why are you talking to us? And so I felt very distant, so I distanced myself, and so I didn't have very many friends. I did have one guy who was my friend in elementary school, and in middle school, you know, he kind of went off with the boys, and it was kind of separated boys and girls things. Girls can't do certain things because they're a girl. You can't be fishing. You don't know how to camp or do a fire and stuff. And so, you know, it was very hard for me, you know, socially. And so that was probably my hardest time, was socializing. The one thing about with learning in middle school was probably when I got to 7th grade. When I got a new case manager, because when I had 6th grade, you know, she only does 6th grade. And so this one I was going to have for 7th and 8th grade. And I loved her because she became my, because like in middle school, you know, I was taking, you know, science and history classes, but I was also in other classes for special ed, but I wasn't like in the extracurricular courses. I wasn't in art classes. I wasn't in, which I actually was sad because I actually love art. Because it was something that you can't really judge someone on, because as long as someone tries and they put meaning and feeling in it, it's art. And so I was sad about that, but I was glad for the help, because that case manager, she like after 7th grade, it's like we would have to do the spelling test and have to try on my spelling, but she would just tell me to try my best, and like, this is what we have to do. It's what the school board wants. It's what the educational system wants. She says, I know that it's really hard for you. She's like, I know it's going to be hard for you. And so she's like, just try your best. And I like that, because she didn't care if I spelled absolutely every single word wrong, you know, as long as I was trying, because she knew that she's like, it's going to be a stick in the mud for you always. Because like with my desk, I just couldn't grasp the rules for spelling, because with English spelling, it's like, oh, you know, you use this rule for this, but then these words are exceptions. So it's like very confusing. It's like, why make exceptions? Why make rules and then certain words don't apply to those rules? It's very confusing. It's like you have to memorize every single certain word. It's like, and like in elementary, they teach you, oh, pronounce the word out, sound it out, and then like, you know, you get farther on, oh no, certain words you can't pronounce out, you just gotta memorize them. These letters make these sounds when they're together. It was very difficult. And also, the special ed teacher that helped me in 7th grade mainly, like, it was like, whatever class she was in, I had to sit right next to her, and she had to help me. I could not do things on my own, even if I understood the assignment I was given. And so, and during like my teachers' conferences, my parents and my special ed teacher wanted me to try, and the teachers wanted me to try to do things on my own because they knew I was very smart. They knew I could understand it. But it's like, but sometimes they weren't listening, and I was trying to spend them like, no, the special ed teacher helper, she doesn't want me to. She wants me to work with her, because like with her, I could not have one question wrong. No, gotta fix it. Can't have it wrong. Have to have absolutely 100% of everything. And so I strongly dislike that. And so it was, when I got to 8th grade, it was less frequent when she was in my class. I could actually do things on my own, but then teachers were getting confused because I couldn't spell right, and I was spelling things right in 7th grade, even though it wasn't me, it was her, the special ed teacher. And so it was such a confusing, crazy time for me, and middle school, crazy, confusing, with me sociable and unable to spell, and having to learn things that people learn in elementary school that I didn't learn, that they were surprised I didn't know. Crazy times. And so I was actually really scared going to high school because I thought it was going to be worse. I thought that I was going to get more homework than what I did. I thought it was going to be worse. And so, and I also was told that you had to take an elective foreign language class, and that's what they were told in middle school. And then when I got to high school, they were like, oh no, you don't, it's not a requirement, it's your choice, which I was so relieved by, because it's like I could barely understand English, and so they were like trying to change to high school, like, you know, make an exception for her, because if she can't understand English, how am I going to understand a foreign language? And so, but luckily when I got to high school, it wasn't a requirement, even though we were told it was. They eventually did make it a requirement, where they probably make exceptions for people with, like me, with learning disability issues, for spelling and stuff. And so trying to think where I was. I had thoughts in my head that I want to talk about. I can't remember. Anyway, this video is almost 20 minutes long, and so that's kind of my middle school time. You know, difficult time, but my next video will be my first day of high school experience. So, you know, I will see you guys in my next video. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram, same way it's spelled down there, Tootsie2525. Bye!